This is Season 7, Episode 149 of the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast.
Sometimes the important thing is not the number of miles you've driven, but what's going on inside your head while driving. The Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast will stimulate your mind and keep you company while on the road. Join us for education, motivation, and inspiration from wherever you may be in our nation. You'll hear roundtable discussions about important information that's impacting our industry. Plus, you'll learn more about new technology, equipment, driving opportunities, safety, and operations. Get driver success and fitness tips to keep you profitable, safe, healthy, as well as entertaining stories from the road. And don't you know, we've all got a few of those. We might be traveling in different directions, but we're all part of one driver community at the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast. With your host, trucker Tim Cicciarelli.
Hey, good morning.
Well, hello, friends, and welcome to Episode 149 of the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast. Tim Cicciarelli here, and I'm real excited about this episode. It is packed with purpose and inspiration today. We are going to introduce you to Stevens Transport's new Vice President of Operations, Shane Weeks, bringing more than 20 years of transportation leadership to the table. So thrilled to have him on board, and we're going to learn a little bit more about Mr. Shane coming up in just a little while. Then we'll shift gears to team driving, what it is, how it works, and why it could supercharge your career. We'll cover miles, money, and how to make it work with the right partner. And speaking of career growth, you're going to meet a driver with an inspiring story who just completed his lease a few months ago and is thriving as an independent contractor. His story is incredible. It's one of resilience, mentorship, and the power of second chances provided by Stevens Transport. Finally, we'll sit down with another driver who has an incredible backstory, from a corrections officer and a football player to a fresh start behind the wheel, and Stevens Transport giving him an opportunity to make some money and provide for his 3 children. And we're going to kick things off with a behind-the-scenes look at the heartbeat of driver success in our Journey to a Million Miles segment. I'm going to be joined once again by Rachel Easley, Director of Driver Services, as we unpack the incredible support network in place to help you on your journey to a million miles. From payroll to CDL renewals to DOT physicals and everything in between, let's get it rolling with our Stevens Roundtable. Let's continue our series on the journey to a million miles to have a very successful and lucrative career at Stevens Transport. Love this series. It's new to Season 7, and in previous episodes, we've already told you about the steps on how you can become a driver, all of the education you need and orientation, and your 240 hours. But what happens once you're out there on the road and you have questions? And you're going to have a lot of them, and there are a lot of things to keep track of. So in your journey to a million miles, you need to know how to utilize the resources that are available to you. And Stevens Transport has a ton of resources available to you because they want you to be successful. And joining us now is Rachel Easley, our Director of Driver Services. Now, hear that. Driver services. There are many driver services that you need to take advantage of to make sure your career is successful, that you're doing everything the right way, that you're compliant, and that you get to that million miles. That was a big lead into you, Rachel.
Yes, Thank you.
You do a lot of stuff. You juggle a lot. And before we go any further, tell us what you do as a Director of Driver Services. What are all those services? Do we have enough time in this podcast?
We don't have enough time for all of them,
Mm-hmm.
but to hit the main points, we explain your payroll to you. If you have a question,
That's a
we
big
answer
one.
your questions about your payroll. We can tell you when you're going to get paid. We can give you an idea on how much you're going to get paid. We manage all of your permits and license plates that go on the truck and on the trailer. We manage your CDL, helping you remember to renew it when it's, right before it's expiring. We're also your reminder when your DOT physical is due. We help you get planned to that, get one of our company doctors to get your physical done. There's so much.
There's so much. And so everything you're saying, I'm hearing, our audience is hearing, are people who are thinking about becoming drivers are hearing, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's a lot to keep up with." Well, you have Rachel and her team.
I have a team.
A team
Yes,
to help you stay on top of it. You get these notifications on your phone for everything nowadays, right? Well, you're going to get a notification that this is due, how to stay compliant, what you might need, or you can be the one to send the notification to say, "I've got a question." What type of questions do you answer for them in regards to their career here at Stevens?
I'll tell you, mostly in driver services, it's the payroll.
Payroll.
What did I get paid?
Mm-hmm.
Why did I get paid that? Or, I thought I was going to get paid this, but I see this.
Mm-hmm.
Or I mean, even, well, I was told I was going to get this, but I didn't. So what do I need to do? So we'll help you get that. If there's something that, I'm not going to call anyone out specifically, but say you were told you were going to get an extra $50 on your check and you don't see it. Well, we'll help trace that back. We'll find the person that told you, and we'll make sure that you get it on your next check.
And you get that $50.
Yeah, right.
It's like almost you're an agent for them.
We try to be.
Yeah, because, we hear it time and time again that our drivers are the customers in the front of the truck.
Right.
And you are providing services to those drivers. Now, I asked you that question a minute ago, what type of questions do you answer? And really, I was thinking the answer might be any question they have. Is that true?
Well, that is true. That is true. We answer the questions that we can.
And if you can't, you'll find someone that can answer
That's
for
right.
you.
That's right.
That's part of that service that you
That's
offer.
exactly right. That's if you have a question and you don't even know who to call us, and we'll point you in the right direction who to get to.
How can they call you? How do they get in touch with you or someone on your team?
Well, we have a direct number, 800-468-0118.
And there's no way we're going to expect you to remember that.
Nope.
So we will have that in the episode notes under Rachel's segment. So we'll have it right there for you. When you get somewhere safe, you can go ahead and you can even just click it and it'll call if you're doing it in your phone. Yeah, call right in. Now, are there any questions that you're annoyed by when people call? Some people might be afraid to go, I'm going to sound dumb if I ask that question.
No question's a dumb question, except the one you didn't ask. I'm sure everyone's heard that.
Yeah, and that's true here.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And with thousands and thousands of drivers, I'll bet you feel like you might have heard it all.
Oh, sometimes I feel like I've heard it all, but then I get proved wrong. Yeah.
For you, what are some of the more fulfilling problems that you have solved for our drivers? I mean, you've heard all the questions, and every now and then you hear something new. But, listen, people call usually when something might be wrong or they need to be pointed in the right direction. Just from the top of your mind, what do you remember most?
I mean, the top of my mind, of course, is going to be the payroll.
Yeah.
Money that they either, thought they were supposed to get, and maybe they just didn't see where it was already in their check, and we were able to point it out.
Good.
Because they need to look at their pay statements, and we go over that with them. The other probably big challenge is the DOT physicals, getting those done on time. A lot of drivers have to come back to the yard to get a physical done, but we can do some of the physicals over the road at one of our approved doctors, and we work with your driver manager to get that scheduled.
So that's something you handle. They don't have to think about it.
We take care of that.
You handle. So they just wait to be told time to get your fit. See, that is so great because they just have to focus on being safe and getting the freight there on time.
That's right.
And then you handle the rest.
That's right.
What a resource.
Yeah.
Tell us about your team.
I have a good team.
Yeah.
I have 3 employees that have been with us over 20 years.
Oh, what does that say? 3 employees over 60 years of experience with just your employees, not including you.
That's my employees. I'm at 35.
35 years. Wow. See, to me, that longevity or the fact that maybe you left for whatever reasons that were none of our business, but you came back,
right,
says a lot about this company, about how people stick around, they stay, and they clearly love what they do.
They do.
By helping out our drivers. And it is a team effort. Everybody's pulling on the same side of that rope. You're right there at the base of it with your team.
Yeah.
Great job. Driver Services Director, Rachel Easley. Thanks for being with us, Rachel.
Thank you.
Well, in case you haven't heard, we have a new Vice President of Operations, and his name is Mr. Shane Weeks. Shane brings more than 20 years of proven leadership in the transportation industry. So when you see Shane around the hallways there at Stevens Transport in Dallas, please join us in warmly welcoming him to the Stevens Transport leadership team. We are excited about the future and what we're all going to achieve together with the new Vice President of Operations, Mr. Shane Weeks. Looking forward to having Shane on the podcast here coming up in the coming weeks. On the way, 2 incredible stories from 2 incredible drivers next on the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast.
Ever
wondered what it's like to drive across the country and get paid to see America's breathtaking landscapes? Welcome to life as a team driver with Stevens Transport. The life of a trucker can sometimes feel solitary, but with team driving, you're never alone. Let's dive into how teaming up with another driver can transform your trucking career. So what exactly is team driving? Simply put, it's when two drivers share the responsibilities of operating the same truck. This allows for continuous travel and efficient delivery. Federal regulations require solo drivers to be off-duty for at least 10 consecutive hours after 11 hours of driving. Team driving, however, maximizes productivity by alternating driving shifts, cutting down on overall trip times. By working in shifts, team drivers can cover over 5,500 miles a week. That's more than double what solo drivers can achieve, leading to more priority loads and higher earnings. Efficiency is key. With two drivers, tasks like loading and unloading become quicker and easier. Plus, you'll earn more per mile. One of the greatest perks? You get to choose your driving partner, whether it's a close friend or a new acquaintance. Having a partner on the road makes those long hauls more enjoyable. And what about rest? Team drivers sleep in comfy bunk beds while the truck is moving, allowing for nearly non-stop travel without sacrificing sleep. Safety is another major advantage. With two drivers, there's an added layer of oversight to ensure committed safety. So, if you're ready to take your trucking career to the next level, consider team driving with Stevens Transport. It's the perfect blend of companionship, efficiency, and increased earnings. Explore the benefits of team driving and start your adventure today with Stevens Transport. Apply now and join a team that drives you to success. Your journey starts here.
Now more than ever, truck drivers are true American heroes. The men and women who literally keep America moving by delivering goods across the country. Being a professional driver is a rewarding, financially lucrative, long-term career filled with exciting adventures. A career where you'll never have to worry about job security. If you have your CDL and keep it up, it will sustain you for the long haul. You can see the country, serve your country, and provide a good life for your family. Whether you'd rather haul on a dedicated route or lane, or prefer working with one specific customer, if you want to own your business, we have a program that sets you up for success with all the tools and support you need. We've got opportunities in our intermodal rail division and have programs to help military veterans transition into trucking careers. We have second generations of drivers whose parents have driven for Stevens, who then trained their children and are now truck drivers. Some are even small fleet owners. So, whatever your dream is, you can achieve it right here at Stevens. If you're looking for a company with a 40-plus year track record that's never had a layoff and just had the largest pay increase in company history for both new and experienced drivers, Stevens Transport has you covered. We offer the finest tools and technology and provide our drivers with the best state-of-the-art equipment on the market. Our infrastructure will support you both on and off the road. As a driver for Stevens, you become part of our family. Many companies throw the word family around. We're family-owned, family-run, and family-driven. Our 40-plus years of success is built on family. At Stevens, you're not just a number. Our drivers are part of our extended family, and we recognize and honor them every chance we get. If you want to be among the top income earners among professional drivers, if you want great benefits, if you want to have every type of driving opportunity at your fingertips, if you want to be part of a company that will stand behind you and ensure your success, come join the Stevens Transport family today and become an American hero. So, what are you waiting for? Take the first step toward your future career with the best trucking company in America. Become part of the Stevens Transport family today by calling our recruiting department at 1-800-333-8595 or apply online at stevenstransport.com.
Welcome back to the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast. My name is Tim Cicciarelli, otherwise known as Trucker Tim. If you wouldn't mind, when you hit your next stop, please follow or subscribe to this podcast from whichever podcast platform you're enjoying it from. We are everywhere. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, If it's a platform with a podcast on it, we are there. And by following the podcast, you'll have a brand new episode waiting for you each and every week as soon as it's released. And if you wouldn't mind, please leave us a review. Tell us what you like about the show and what you'd like changed. We are producing this podcast for you to keep you educated, informed, and hopefully a little entertained as well. How about we tip our big 10-gallon Stevens cap in congratulations to another driver who completed his lease. I just dig his name. His name is Chanston Bowman. How you doing, Chanston?
How you doing?
I'm great, buddy. Thanks for coming in and doing the podcast with us.
No problem.
That must feel really wonderful to complete that lease.
Great, it actually do, yeah.
Tell us the process now. Of course, those that are completing the lease on those trucks are those that are in our contractor division and those that want to have their own business.
Honestly, all I can say about it is dedication. That you got to be dedicated to it. You know, if you're not going to really too much go nowhere. You know, the process from the beginning to right now, I had plenty of help. You know, my business counselor, Ryan Turner, he was a big help for me. You know, he the one kind of kept me in the straight line of making money and everything, stuff like that. But
yeah, these are things that are not innately known to be an entrepreneur, to be a business owner, especially in a new industry, right? Yeah. As a trucker in transportation. So you said you've had a lot of help.
Yeah.
And Stevens Transport, you just mentioned one gentleman here, a business advisor as well, too. Johnny Cox.
Johnny Cox.
Yep.
You know,
Johnny Red Cloud Cox.
Yes.
One of our legends here at Stevens Transport.
Yeah.
How did Mr. Cox help you?
Basically kind of helped me figure out the lanes, you know, about where I want to run, you know, where I want to go, you know, who to talk to. Also, making sure that if I had problems with extra pay, layover, and stuff like that, he was quick to get to it, you know. And then his manager at the time was Kyle, you know him.
Yep.
You know,
Kyle
that's where I'm at right now. I just actually went to the comfort zone. You know?
Did you really?
Yeah, I just came. Yeah, I love it.
You have to be an elite driver to do that.
Hey, I love running. I do. I really do. You know, it's.
What do you love about it?
What I love about it, to tell you the truth, it's not just the money. It's not just going to go see places, you know, meet new people and stuff like that.
Which all sounds pretty cool.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It is, but it's free. You know, Stevens actually let you dictate your loads, let you figure out where you want to go, where you're comfortable at, whatever it may be. They really don't force you to kind of really go where you don't want to go. You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
And I've been here 2.5 years, and
so far so good.
So great. I ain't going nowhere.
That's what we want to hear. So what made you decide to want to go the contractor route?
Contracting?
Yeah.
Honestly, the freedom.
Yeah.
I work hard. I play hard. You know, I get plenty of home time to see my daughter. That's where I'm fit to go as soon as I leave here.
Oh, awesome.
You know what I mean?
Awesome.
So
yeah,
that balanced life. You know, I get to actually, you know, spend time with my kids and not have to be, you know, kind of rush back to come back. You know what I mean? So I love it.
Well, I'm glad you said that because, you know, we have a lot of people listening to this podcast who are not yet drivers, who have not yet decided to come to Stevens Transport. And that might be one of the pushbacks for a driver. And then to hear you say, all right, I went that independent contracted route and I got a lease for my truck to be my own boss.
Yes, sir.
To have the freedom, that might be the route for them.
That's the great route. Honestly, I actually talked to one of my old students named George. You know, he's going to contracting class right now also. I ain't going to say I push him toward it, but I tell him, like, if you want to have that freedom, you know, this is the route. Don't be afraid of the money aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? Because if you get a good business counselor, they're going to show you the numbers. They're going to show you, you know, where you can go wrong if you do this, you know,
and everything from tax savings.
Yes.
And, I mean, the whole deal. I mean, you just follow what they say, you'll be successful. You're smart enough to know that.
Yes, but it took me time, though. You know, it took me time to actually. I started making money. I wanted to start blowing it. You know what I mean?
Welcome to being a human.
Exactly. You know what I mean? But
they'll show you can't do that.
Like, hey, man, you're not gonna have no money if you keep doing this. You know what I mean? You know, that's what that business account is for. You know, you play money. You know, and since then, you know, I'm all right.
Since then, I'm all right. You know, that type of access to the resource of a business counselor.
Yeah.
If you weren't with Stevens Transport, you'd be paying a lot of money for that information, for that access to that knowledge. That's part of what you get.
That's part of the business.
Yeah. So let's talk about that lease completion. So, how was it getting the lease? Was that a relatively challenging experience, or was it easier than you thought?
No, it was actually easier than what I thought it was. I was afraid, but
sure, that's a big one.
They tell you, it's open, and if you're not a type of person to ask questions, I feel like it's on you, but they kind of basically break everything down from the insurance to everything that you're paying on the truck, and it's not afraid to be afraid of the numbers,
As long as you understand it, you got people here that will show you
yeah,
that.
But from start to finish, I had help. Honestly, I really did have help where people actually said, this is this and this is that. You know what I mean? And it's, if you choose to go this way, this is what you're going to get.
You might as well just choose to go that way because they
go
know how it works.
Yeah.
And so when you got into the lease, there's usually in the real world, there's a credit check.
Yeah.
But not here.
No.
Was it pretty simple to get into?
Let me say this, man. Stevens, and this not to blow anybody head up or nothing like that. From the get-go, from the recruiters, I left a job making $27.75 an hour. Mm-hmm. I got tired of it. Yeah. Money good, and I had a background. The first recruiter said, oh, no, man, we're not going to be able to do it.
First recruiter here?
Yeah, recruiter here.
Mm.
Oh, we're not going to be able to do it. 10, 15 minutes later, a young lady called me. She said, do you really want to go to school, Mr. Bowman? I listened to your conversation with him. Do you really want to go to school? I said, yes, I do. She said, be up here tomorrow morning. I said, well, he just told me that he can't do it.
Because of this
reason.
Background.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you brought that up.
She said, but do you really want to go? I said, man, if you bring me in, you ain't going to have to worry about it. And every time I come up here now, 2.5 years, I speak to her and I tell her, thank you, because she helped me come a long way, honestly. Tell you the truth, and I'm not going nowhere, because there's good and bad about every company or whatever it may be. But if you look for just the bad, that's all you're gonna get.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
But since I've been here with Stevens just to be, man, I love it. I ain't going on.
Chanson, you brought up so many good points in this short segment to celebrate and honor our drivers who have been dedicated to complete their lease. But what really stood out to me, two things, and hopefully it does to those listening. Stevens makes it very, very easy if you are dedicated.
If you are dedicated, it's on you.
Also, second chances. You said a background. It's none of my business what that background is. It's nobody's business, but you had a background.
Yeah.
And this is a wonderful place to go for those who need a second chance.
Yes.
And look,
you gotta want to do it though.
Well, of course.
Stevens gives you the plan, gives you the layout. But unless you actually really want it, you're going to fall backwards, on everything. And I seen things that Stevens did for people who was hurting with their mortgage payments. You know what I mean?
I know.
Just little small things.
That's not a small thing.
And I'm like, where can you find a company that's open to help you with things like that? I'm talking about 1,700 helping this young man. And I'm like, go to another company and tell them, oh, man, I'm about to get kicked out of my house. And I'm sorry, your check comes in on Friday. You know what I mean? That's all they're going to tell you.
Yeah.
But I done seen Stevens help a lot of people out since I've been here, even from the contract and state part of it. You know what I mean?
I do. And we've had the opportunity to interview so many drivers, and so many drivers have told us how they are grateful to be a part of a family-owned, family-run, family-driven business, and that's the only place you're going to get that kind of support,
honestly,
even if it has nothing to do with what you're doing for them.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this, and I know through my conversations everybody hears, but you got to put in the work to earn that type of commitment from them.
Yeah.
And you do it, clearly.
Yeah. I'm going to do it every day.
Yeah.
About to go home now, and I'll be back. And I love that I can do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, you created that opportunity, and so kudos to that recruiter who jumped in. and
I think
said,
her name is Daniela. I know she's a manager.
yes.
I think that.
No, you're on point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that checks out with what you're saying right now.
Yeah.
And so that comes with the experience for a recruiter to jump in and say, hold on now, we're going to take a chance with you. I could hear it in your voice
Oh,
that you're dedicated. Second chance is yours, my friend, and look what you've done with it. Congratulations.
I really appreciate that, sir. I really do.
It's our driver spotlight. We love to have a chance to sit down and talk to our drivers here on the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio podcast. And we love to talk to our new drivers, those who have decided to make driving their career and with Stevens Transport. And we're just going to tell you how it worked out today. Paula and I had the opportunity to go speak to one of the orientation classes this morning and get up there and say hello and talk about the podcast and welcome everybody to Stevens. And then this gentleman came up to me after our little hello, and we started talking, and I thought your story was interesting. I said, you need to get your butt up here so we can talk to you today. Anthony, what's your last name, buddy?
Jewett.
Driver Anthony Jewett. Anthony, so you are day what, 4, 3?
Yes, day 4 and 8 months, kind of.
All right, and 8 months. So let's talk about that. So let's first talk about why did you want to become a driver?
I really wasn't sure about becoming a driver till my uncle. He actually got into the field, started truck driving, was like, you should do it. I jumped on it, and here I am, you know.
So you took some sage advice.
Oh, yes.
You had your uncle saying, look, man, you can make some money here.
Yeah.
Right? Is he a driver for Stevens or somebody else?
No, he actually passed away. So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's what pushed me even more. So.
Really?
Yeah.
You were really inspired then.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So tell us a little bit about your family.
So I have 3 boys.
Wow.
You know, love them to death.
Of course.
I know being away from them, you know, on the road, it's tough, but I know what I'm doing it for. I know the purpose.
What's the purpose?
Is to buy a house for them, you know, give them everything I didn't have when I was little.
Did you hear that? This podcast is designed to educate people who are thinking about getting into transportation, logistics, trucking, and in particular with Stevens Transport, of course, to talk about the benefits of becoming a driver. And one of those benefits is a lucrative career with not a whole lot of obstacles to make it happen relatively quickly.
Yes.
And so with 3 boys, you're in a bit of a hurry, aren't you?
Yeah, I am for sure. You know, coming from the background, you know, corrections officer, playing semi-pro football.
Wait, hold on now. Those are some cool things. You can't just breeze over that. So you were a corrections officer.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that experience.
It was tough. You know,
Yeah.
I was in the field also of behavioral health for 8 years, which falled into being a correction officer. I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I was helping people.
Yeah.
But it drains you. You know, you see a lot of stuff, and it was just time for a career change.
And it's really challenging not to bring that stuff home.
Oh, most definitely.
No question about it.
It's a
Yeah.
battle every day you battle with. So.
All right. So, and by the way, I'm blown away that you said you were doing something for 8 years and you have 3 kids. You look like you're about 27 years old.
Thank you.
I'm going to be rude. I'm going to ask you, what is your age?
31.
Here's why I say that. And I asked you that. So 31 years old. All right. So I wasn't too far off.
Yeah.
This podcast thing doesn't work out. I can guess ages at the carnival or something. But I mean, to have 3 boys, a career behind you, and you mentioned something about playing semi-pro football as well, too.
Yeah.
What? I mean, you got the jacket on right now.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that in a minute. But you can make a career change into transportation, into trucking with Stevens Transport at almost any age. We've interviewed people over the last 7 seasons who have had a career and retired. And then their kids wanted to go to college. And I'll never forget him. He said, and college sounds expensive. So I went back to work.
Yeah.
And not only did he become a truck driver, Stevens, but he's stayed because he loved it. So here you are looking for a way to provide for your family, buy a house.
Yes.
For those 3 boys as well, too.
Yes.
Tell us about that leap into trucking, because we talked about something a little harrowing a little bit earlier today, didn't we? When you made that leap initially.
Yeah. So before I got into the truck, I was going to school, you know, working. It was tough. You know, I went through trials and tribulations, but that's what it takes to get where I'm at now.
That's right.
Got in the truck, did all my training, was wonderful, loved it.
Here at Stevens.
Yes, here at Stevens. And then, you know, unforeseen circumstances happened. An accident, which, you know, couldn't avoid it.
Well, you told me you weren't even driving. You were.
I was parked.
Where were you parked?
At a Flying J.
At a Flying J.
Yeah, in a parking spot. And, you know.
And what happened?
And the dude wasn't paying attention. I just came in from doing a post trip, and he hit me.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just got back into my truck, so. Yeah, it was.
Not good timing at all.
Yeah, no,
it?
not at all.
So that sidelined you for a while.
Oh, yeah, for 4 months.
4 months.
Yeah.
So you kind of had to start the process over, didn't you?
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't show tenacity I don't know what does.
Yeah.
I mean, that really speaks a lot to your character, your integrity, and your drive.
Yeah, I got to get it done.
You got to get it done.
My boys
You
need
got
me.
those 3 boys there.
Yeah.
Listen, that'll always push you for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, I'm sorry that happened to you, but I'm sure there's lessons to be learned from that, and so you stayed with it.
Yeah,
you
sorry.
came back. You were
Yes,
at
sir.
orientation. You're like, been there, done that already. Wait, let's just get it done. Right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So
Yeah.
pretty soon you'll be out there now.
Mhm.
And tell us a little, since you've done it twice,
Yeah.
tell us about that training experience. What's it like for our new drivers that are thinking about making a career change, for people that might be doing something else? Maybe they're a corrections officer. I don't know. Maybe they played semi-pro football and have a championship jacket like you, and they want to become a driver. You can start anytime. What is the training like here at Stevens Transport?
It's amazing. You know, I always go by this. You're never too old. You know, going there, you learn a lot. You know, I will say this. Stevens is an amazing training company. I love it. You know, I wouldn't have wanted to pick any other company because I did my research and everything. And this is what first led me into trucking. So,
Yeah, and we hear that time and time again.
Yeah.
Stevens, it's the training and it's the safety,
Mhm.
and
Oh,
those are two things are paramount, right?
Yes.
And so you've been through the training. Now you're on the cusp now of going back out with a trainer, I suppose, right?
Yeah, for a little bit. It's
Yeah.
not as long because,
You already
I'm
did it.
experienced. Yeah. So it just comes easy now. Like,
Mhm.
I know what to do, get on the truck, get it done, get out there by myself. Because when I'm on the road, it's just me and the road.
Yeah.
So.
And you know that you've already been solo.
Yeah.
I just can't help but think, when we had a chance to meet a few hours ago at orientation, you just have this vibe, this energy, this drive. You've got this tenacity. I know that you're going to be successful in this industry and with this company. And I can't help but think your uncle is smiling down on you right now.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
congratulations on making a great decision
Yes.
to choose Stevens and to come on back after the accident. And we wish you nothing but the best in your career.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, there she is. Pump the Brakes in episode 149 of the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast. If you found this podcast because you're searching for a brand new career, please make sure you visit the episode notes. We will have phone numbers and every link possible for you to learn more about Stevens Transport and even schedule a call with one of our recruiters. All the information is in the episode notes. And like we said earlier, please follow or subscribe to this podcast from whichever platform you're enjoying it from, and share it with one of your fellow drivers. We sure would appreciate it. And finally, my name is Tim Cicciarelli, otherwise known as Trucker Tim. Thanks for joining me. And until next time, be safe out there. And thanks for listening to the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast.